And hello, everybody. How you doing? Welcome, everyone. I see y'all in the chat early in the chat. You know, we go live at 9:15 Eastern Standard Time. I want to welcome everybody to Mental Health Monday. I am Dr. Alicia with Coaching with Dr. Alicia, and welcome to Mental Health Monday. Today, we're going to talk about finances. We're going to talk about finances and relationships. And recently, I came across this video, y'all. Go to my Instagram. Hold on, let me show y'all. Let me give y'all my Instagram page. Where is it? Go to my Instagram, Coaching with Dr. Alicia. Be sure to follow me. I just did a reaction video to the very video we're going to talk about today that kind of sparked my interest in this conversation. And it has to do with the dusty label. So many women are giving men this dusty label as if they're not worthy of being in a relationship, because according to them, they don't have their finances all together. And I don't know. I brought my really good friend here. She's back on this show, Dr. Lorie Nichols. Y'all know she got a PhD. She's a clinical psychologist, and she specializes in money, and relationships. She's called the financial recovery doctor. What a great title to have. We are so... Y'all don't know how fortunate you are. You got me. I have a doctorate in social work, specializing in couples. You got Dr. Lorie here with is a clinical psychologist. She's specializing in financial recovery. Hello. And my husband is going to be joining us. Y'all, my husband is joining us today. Dr. Boyce, and we all know what he does. So this is going to be a really good conversation. And the title of our topic today is Why the Dusty Label Hurts. We're going to be talking about finances. We're going to be talking about relationships. And just because a man doesn't necessarily have it all together, it doesn't make sense to give him the dusty label. So anyway, that's what we're talking about today. And I want to welcome Dr. Lorie. Welcome to our show today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Alicia, for having me on the platform, inviting me back.
Yes.
And this is a very special topic tonight.
I think it's a good topic tonight. You know, we all, listen, looking at all of the changes happening in America and across the world, this is the time where we need to have these conversations. And I'm just curious about, what do you think about the dusty label? There's a lot of people who are building their entire platform on separating men into dusties versus worthies. What is your reaction to that?
Yes, and that's interesting that you would say that, because it all comes down to developing that relationship. And when you create a label for somebody, you know, what are your values when you're calling someone that dusty label? What are your values in terms of what you're looking for? And then you're not even giving the person the chance to even see who they are, what they value, you know. And it's important that in building a relationship with someone, you get to know them for who they are. You get to understand their values. You get to understand what they think of money, you know. And I get it. It's about how they treat you. You know, you want someone who's going to treat you respectfully, you know, McDonald's versus Red Lobster.
Yes. No, I think that is really interesting. It's just like, yeah, developing the relationships and your values. I think that's a really fascinating, because, you know, I look at women and I say, listen, ladies, men are not ATM machines. You can't just cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Like, they're in search of valuing relationships as well. And I'm not certain if men, fellas, I see y'all in the chat. Tell us, how would you feel if you're dating some woman and she thinks you're only worthy based on how much money, whatever that number is, how much money is in your banking account? That's what makes you worthy. I don't know what y'all think. What do y'all think? Bree Britina from ATX. What is that? Is that Austin, Texas? That's got to be Austin, Texas.
Yeah, I think that's Austin, Texas. I like how she put it, though.
Tell us what you see.
Oh, someone said pissed.
David said he'd be pissed. I don't blame you. You should be. Nobody wants to be used by another man. And so let me just play the video that sparked, oh Lord, here I am doing something different. But I'm going to play the video that tweaked my interest because it was on, oh my God, look at the name of this platform. It's called Hose to, wait, I'm trying to think. The platform, Hose to Husband. Wow. Hose to Husband podcast. Have y'all heard about that? Hose to Husband podcast. Oh my God, Alicia from San Diego. I like that name. Have you heard of Hose to Husband? What is that? What is that? Hose to Husband podcast? That's more interesting. But it came up, for some reason, it came up on my feed. I'm going to share my screen and see if I can get screen share, see if I can figure out. Also share tab audio. Okay. So here I am trying to share my screen. I'm going to share my Instagram because if you go on my Instagram, can y'all see that? Okay. So let's listen to what I reacted to and you tell me what you think. Okay, wait. We got to get some sound going.
You live with your mama. You know what I'm saying? Like, things have changed, man. I remember back in the day, a man can be on the bus and a woman would still love him. You know what I'm saying? I ride the bus and I live with my mama. You know what I'm saying? I help out with bills. You know what I'm saying? I ain't making that much. You know, I do the best with I can with my man. But why is it that women don't want to talk to a man that, you know what I'm saying, he's trying his best and because he don't have a car or he might still stay home with his mom? Why y'all making a big deal about that? You know what I'm saying? And then we get called dusties. We get called dusties, man. You know what I'm saying? So you mean to tell me I can't get no love because I stay with my mama and I don't have a car? You know, like what's wrong with riding the bus? At least I'm getting back and forth to where I need to go make my change. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing the best for me. I'm doing the best for me and my kids. And, you know, I think maybe it's just these new age women, you know, so what if I don't have a car? So what if I still stay home with my mama? I mean, what's the big deal? It's family.
Okay. So what do y'all think? Melissa, I see you in there. Melissa, Ayana, ladies. Tell me what you think. Jackie, I think Jackie's a lady. Britanna, Nalisha. Let me see who else is in here. Jackie in the chat. Audrey, Karen, come on, y'all. He lives with his mama and he rides the bus to work. Are you?
I see a few comments.
Man, are you dating him? Are you going to give him a chance? He lives with his mama and he rides the bus to work. Now, you don't know. He could be living in New York because in New York City, most people ride the bus. They ride the public.
That's true. That's true.
You never know. Let's just say he lives in New York City. He going to work every day. He taking care of his kids. And he's like, what's going on with the new age women? What do y'all think? Okay, Nicole's like, nope. Nope, I ain't dating him. He has kids and no, wait. Jessica's saying he has kids and no car. That's dangerous work. Oh my God, Jessica. Okay. So what do y'all say? Karen says, I live in New York and I take the express bus. So Karen, this could be a gentleman you could hook up with in the bus route. Y'all could take your little bus together. Brother, okay, so Kevin is saying brother's doing the best he can. That should not be frowned upon. Better than being a criminal. Absolutely. So you'd have more respect to somebody who earns money the wrong way. Okay, let's see. Sandra is saying some men live with their parents or parent because they need their child to take care of them, or they can be taking care of each other, Sandra. You never know. Okay.
Yeah, Melissa says, I don't know. He has to show some ambition.
He's got to show some ambition. Okay. Okay. Well, what do you think about some of these comments, Lorie? Tell me what's on your mind here.
You know, do you recall, like when you were going to college and they would say, women go to college to find their husband. You know, men go to college to earn the degree and to get that job. But that's what women were told. That's why we go to college, to find our husband. And so it's almost like this is like the new generation of, hey, you know, like, did you remember that message, Dr. Alicia?
Yes.
Did you ever hear that?
That expectation was given to me, and how disappointed was I when I went to college.
Me too.
I did not date not one guy on that campus. Not one guy on that campus. Not one guy on that campus approached me with, like, they approached me because they wanted something, but they didn't want no relationship.
And then you got the song Scrub. You know, you don't want to date a scrub. TLC. So it's like you even have a song about if the person doesn't have a ride, if they, you know, don't live on their own. It's like, no, you don't want to date them. And so those songs give young people that, it's almost like what the media tells you is the right type of person to date. And the media will tell you that that young man on the video is not the right type of person to date. But as a few of the comments say, hey, give the brother a chance. You know, he's trying. He's, like you said, New York City, it's expensive, but the bus is a nice ride.
The bus is a nice ride. I like this. So you make a really good point about how media really tells us who is worthy of being of love and who's not worthy of love. Because you ride the bus and because you're saving your money living with your mom, that you're not worthy of love. You would be called a scrub.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, What does that tell us? And what does that do for men? I was having a conversation with my husband just a few days ago, and he was telling me, he told me I can kind of understand why men will go years and years without even approaching a woman.
Yes.
You know, and some of these things of shame and making men feel terrible about who and what they are makes it so that men are lonely and women are lonely. And just like you said before, we don't get into what develops a relationship.
And that young man could be stacking up his money in the bank account, living with his parents, you know, saving money, taking the bus, and you're judging him based just on his looks and his ride of the MTA bus. And you didn't even give him a chance to take you out.
That makes sense. And then Natanya here, she's got an interesting comment. She said, it's okay for younger women. She's like, if you're up and you're established in your career, you would want to be seeking, Natanya, if I'm speaking for you, she might be saying, okay, younger women who are also trying to get on build may also see a man like that and think, okay, that might be somebody I want to date. But like Nicole is saying, yeah, a young man is okay. But when you're 40 and you're established, you want to be able to date somebody who's also established. What do you think about that? Dating someone who's kind of on your level in terms of establishment?
Well, what about the added factor of that person's on your level, but let's say the woman makes more than the man? That's a whole nother issue, because there's some men who feel like it's like I'm taking away something from him if I make more money than them. And therefore, it's either a secret, like don't share your salary with my boys, you know, that's our little secret. Or they do something to disrupt the relationship. In other words, making the relationship not work, because it's just something within them that I'm the man, I'm supposed to make more money than you. And it starts right there from breaking up the relationship.
That is a really good point. Fellas, put in the chat, would you be okay dating a woman who made more money than you? Would that be okay? Would you think that you're dating somebody and you become the Dusty? Tell me what you think. Would you date a woman and feel secure in yourself if that woman made more money than you? So I want to hear what y'all have to say. I want to hear from Derek. I want to hear from, who are the guys, the fellas in here?
We got Brian, Ricardo.
I don't know if Sparkle. I think Sparkle, Ricardo. Let me know. Would you date a woman, Black Lexicon? what was it like when you dated a woman that made more money than you? Because sometimes men do feel a little intimidating by that. Dennis says he would love it. Dennis said he would be very inspired if he dated a woman that made more money than him. And I will tell you, as a therapist and a social worker, what the studies show, and this is definitely the case for a lot of Black relationships in general, Black women do on some level make more money than Black men. And what we found when we looked up these relationships where there was a difference between how much a woman made and how much a man made, in terms of the woman made more money than her partner, that relationship was in jeopardy of infidelity. That when men date women who made more money than them, that on an unconscious level, they felt as if they're not as much of a man. And therefore, to assert their manhood, they looked outside for relationships outside, instead of it being inspiring. Like, who said that? Who said it was inspiring? Dennis says it would be inspiring, but for a lot of Black men in general, I'm not saying everybody, but for a lot of Black men, they feel like they are less of a man, and that somehow to prove that they are more of a man, that they're more likely to cheat on their partner. These are facts. Don't be arguing with me. Argue with the data, because that's what the data is telling us. Have you heard of anything about that? And what would you have to say about that in terms of developing healthy relationship based on values?
And I like Shima's response. If he is secure, communication, there is a mutual respect for each of. It shouldn't be a problem. And that is so key. If each person is secure, then what they bring to the table, it's to bring together what they bring to the table. It's not like, oh, you make more than me, I can't date you, but we're in this together. And these days, with the economy and the way everything's going on, it needs to be, we forge togetherness and we work to build this relationship, because we're going to have enough from the outside trying to break us up. And we need to be a united front, bringing it together. And when there's problems, in order to have a healthy relationship, the key piece is that financial conversation, being able to talk to each other, being able to share, oh, by the way, before we get serious, you should know I have all these bills. And if we get married, these bills become ours.
Oh my God, bills. Okay, I'm going to put a pin in that real quick and say hello to everybody and to welcome everybody to Mental Health Monday. And we've been talking about why are we labeling men as dusty? Just because he takes a bus to work, at least he got a job, a legitimate job. And just because he lives with his mom, he's helping his mother out. It's all about family, baby. Remember, he talked about it's all about family. If you go to my Instagram page, you will see the reaction video that I did. My Instagram is Coaching with Dr. Alicia. You will go on there and you will be able to see the reaction video that I did about that very video on Hoes to Husband podcast. I've never even heard of such a thing, but somehow it came up on my feed and I thought it was really interesting. And I definitely wanted to bring Dr. Lorie back in so that we can talk about relationships and money. And I just want to say, hey to everybody. Thank you for joining us. I want everybody to know that you can text the word LOVE to 87948 so you can find out next time I bring Dr. Lorie on. And in about a couple of minutes, I know my husband coming on the show. He ain't going to let me down. He don't ever let me down. And it's funny because when I first, it's interesting because when I first met my husband, I was in college. I didn't have a boyfriend. And he did not try to talk to me. And what's funny is that all my friends thought we were dating. I had no idea that my friends thought that Dr. Boyce and he wasn't even Dr. Boyce, he was Boyce. Hey, how you doing? Everybody thought we were dating when we met in college, but not one guy on that campus at Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana, not one man came to me on that campus and tried to legitimately date me. They were trying to do some other things, but they were not serious about a relationship with me. And I just think that was interesting. I spent 4 years single while Dr. Boyce he wasn't a doctor, he was Boyce. While Boyce had girlfriends, I know you don't like me saying that. Boyce had girlfriends, and I just be listening to his girlfriend stories because I had nothing to share back with him.
Well, that's not how I remember everything.
That's
However,
true.
however, you know, that's a disputable story. I'll just say that. I will say
That's
that.
disputable.
I remember a guy named Alan Henderson, the star of the basketball team, who for whatever reason decided he wanted to pick you up every day from work, and you assumed that he did it because he wanted to be a nice guy.
He had a girlfriend.
I said no.
And
The
we were just friends. I'm talking about legitimately tried to talk to me.
the 6'9" star of the basketball team on his way to the NBA, who makes the time to pick you up every day after work, ain't doing it because he's trying to be nice. But that's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. But anyway, let's leave the 90s in the 90s and just say that I love you. And nice to meet you, Dr. Nicholas. It's very, very good to see. I heard great things about you.
Hi, Dr. Boyce. How are you doing?
I'm doing extremely well. I was listening to the conversation, and you two, what you were talking about in terms of women making more money than men. I was doing some research on it, and I did see where that thing about the infidelity, that I think the rate of infidelity is like 5 times greater, especially if you're talking about scenarios where the wife is out making all the money and the husband's staying at home doing the whole Mr. Mom role. I think that the infidelity isn't just with the man, though. They say also even with the woman, she's at work and she's around these other men that she's accomplishing things with and spending all her time with. And I remember when I researched my book, Financial Lovemaking, I remember reading that there's something where women are just not as attracted to a man. Oh, look at that. I know that book. I know that book. Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. Awesome. Yeah. I remember seeing something where they were basically saying that women just aren't attracted to men who don't have some kind of ambition. I think that the big lie we tell ourselves is that we believe that men and women are the same and that there's no difference between being a man and a woman. I don't agree with that. I think that that ambition, that testosterone is attractive to women. I think that feminine behavior is attractive to men. It's just a reality. And what that means for every individual varies. But I think when we get to this point where we're like, oh, yeah, let's just have this egalitarian society where we kind of flip things on their head. And then we're confused when we get these crazy outcomes. I think, like, for example, the divorce rate's much higher when the woman makes more money than the man. Studies show that. I don't know the answer to that. All I know is that I think that there's a difference between being politically correct and being actually correct. And I don't know if we've figured that out yet.
Okay, that's interesting. I think ambition is attractive on both ends. Like you were just telling me, just our conversations that we have with each other, you were just telling me, dang, Alicia, I really appreciate the fact that you are so hardworking. You were just telling me recently, what did you tell me? You told me that you said you appreciate the fact that I'm hardworking and that I'm smart and have a PhD. Like you were giving me these accolades and you were saying, I don't know if I would have married you if you weren't ambitious. You were saying you felt as if we could build something together. Now I remember hearing you saying that. But you could correct me if I'm wrong. But you said, I know what you said. You said you admired that about me.
Mm-hmm. Well, I admire that about you because I believe my model of love is if you love somebody, you count your blessings and you try to love them for who they are. And you find the things about them that make them unique and love as much of that as you possibly can instead of judging it and criticizing it and trying to change it. I don't think that works. I don't think changing people works. It only frustrates you. So, but I can tell you as a man, I've dated women other than my wife. People know that. I can tell you that the way I love a woman like you is not the same as the way I would love a woman who was different from you. You know, if you were shown up differently, if you weren't the fiery, ambitious, hyper hardworking person you were, I would have to love something else about you and love you in a different way. You know, when a man is dealing with a woman who has goals and is a high flyer and a high achiever, that's a firestorm, and you kind of have to get out of the way of that. You can't block that. Like, you can't step in and be like, look, woman, sit down, woman, make me some biscuits. You know, like, you can't do that. You got to sit back and say, let me clap for my wife Kamala as she becomes president of the United States. You got to go into Dougie Inhofe mode in order to survive that relationship. Because if you come in Ike Turner, like, it ain't gonna work. Like, and nor is it the best way to handle it, right? You might as well take that ambition and say, okay, I've got this great ally, I've got a great teammate. But I can tell you that I've seen spaces where maybe women are not interested in being, you know, this high flying career person. Maybe they just want to be, maybe they just want to stay home with the kids. And baby, you go conquer the world. You go fight the lions. I'm gonna be here with the babies. Well, a woman like that might require a different energy and a different kind of masculine presence. And that's just the truth.
Well, let me tell you, I work with a lot of stay-home moms. They are fiery too. I went to the PTO one day. Them moms in that PTO were the most fiery people I sat in that meeting, and I never went back to another meeting. Those women were brutal. I wouldn't be played around. So, I mean,
they're fighting for their babies.
They were fighting for their baby. I mean, we have this image that the stay-home mom is just this docile, homemaker. I don't know. Karen's and Becky's was holding it down. So I think we need to be careful about grouping a bunch of people just based on their status. I do think we need to be careful about labeling somebody. And I really don't. The topic of our conversation is the fact that we get this label called dusty. And we're labeling men, especially Black men, who already have it hard. You know, sometimes they don't have a PhD. Sometimes they're struggling. Sometimes they didn't always make the right decision. Sometimes they're trying to get through college. They're trying to get through life. And I see so many frustration in that guy. Boyce, do you want me to play that video again about the guy talking about how frustrated he was because he gets a label of dusty just because he's trying to stack his paper, help take care of his mother. He said it's all about family to him. And he doesn't have a car. He rides the bus, but he has a job. And he feels like he gets a dusty label. And I think that really hurts. And of course, this is Mental Health Monday. So I got to talk about this from a psychological perspective about who and what is worthy of love.
I don't think I saw the video and you can play it again. I think people that just came in should see it. I don't agree with, I agree. I think labeling people is bad. And I'd love to hear what Dr. Nicholas has to say, because I know we've done a lot of talking, but I would almost ask him, if when men complain and they say these new age women, they only want this and women only want that, I would return and say, you're not dating every single woman that's out there. What types of women are you reaching out to? And sometimes what really happens, honestly, is people are pursuing partnerships that may be out of their pay grade or may not be a fit for what they're bringing to the table. So if you say, look, hey, I got a bus pass, but I'm a wonderful person, I'm very romantic or whatever, there's some women who are going to be like, that doesn't do it for me. I kind of need a man to have a vehicle, especially when you're 40. But there are women out there who will, get on that bus with you and ride. Which, I mean, there's all kinds of women. So my question would be, why are you not dating those women? Oh, I get it. You want that girl down the street who's the finest thing you ever saw, who has a whole bunch of men rolling up to her in Benzes and Porsches and taking her on trips. And you think you can compete with that with a bus pass. I'm not saying you can't do it. You might have whatever's required to do that, but you got competition and she's choosing someone other than you. So it ain't all women that's the problem. It might be your selection that's the problem. Like you say, people like me never meet the standard. Well, different people have different standards. And so I don't really know. I ask that when people say all women want this and all women want that. I'm like, no, there are lots of women who don't really care a whole lot about how much money you have, but maybe you're mad because the girl you wanted didn't want you, and you're extrapolating that to all women when really maybe you were picking somebody who wasn't an option for you. I don't know, Dr. Nicholas. I like to let Dr. Nicholas talk. I've been talking too much.
So to me, there's someone for everybody, and there's the values that we put. Because I dated someone who I made more money than them, and it was okay. My boys can't know that. My boys can't know that. It's good. It's good for our relationship, and we were at the point where we were building together. So I thought. We were building together. He was pursuing his goals. I was pursuing mine. He wanted to create business. I wanted to create a business. But even though he said he could tolerate me making more money than him, the truth about it is his actions said differently. So he started cheating. Just what you said, Dr. Boyce, the girl down the street who couldn't do nothing for him, but she was someone who, oh, please do this for me. Please buy this for me. Begging him for stuff. And that's like, really? Is that what you want? You want someone who's going to beg you to spend the little bit of money you got on them? Whereas we're building together so that we will have a future where we can spend money together. And that's what you want. So therefore, he chose the one who wants him to spend their money on him, wants them to spend their money on them, leaving him broke. But he wants a woman who needs him in that respect.
I think you hit a nail on the head with that.
Yes.
I will tell you, I don't know. I can't speak for all men. And I'm, ain't nobody perfect. I'm sure I'm dysfunctional in certain ways. My wife diagnoses me twice a day. But
I do not diagnose you.
I'm going to say this.
Why do you keep telling people that?
I'm going to say this.
Diagnose you.
Okay, yeah, we'll go with that. I will tell you this. I don't think that a man is ever interested in staying too long in a situation where he's not needed. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know why, but we want to feel needed. And I can tell you, I can confess and say that when I'm in a situation where I'm not needed, it's like, okay, so that means if I'm not here, then everything's fine. You got this? Okay, you the strong black woman who don't need no man. Okay, well, you know what? I got other things I'm gonna do anyway, and you got this, girl. You go, girl. You got this, right? Because maybe you don't want to admit that you need me, and I can say this as a married woman, as a married man who's married to a woman with with 3 beautiful, wonderful children. What helped me a lot was knowing that how important I was in the household, and the fact that my wife took the time to tell me that. Her mother tells me that all the time. We love you. We appreciate you, boys. We're so glad you're here. The kids tell me that in their behavior. And that really makes a difference, because I can tell you, if every day I was in there and people are like, well, we don't really need you. I mean, you can go on and get up out of here. I don't know. I don't know about other men, but there's a lot of places a man could be other than sitting at home with the family. You could be out in these streets, and so I really think that a man has to feel needed. Now, I don't think I think that creates a dilemma, though, for women, because the studies show that men's mental health is affected by when the woman doesn't need him financially, when she's making more money than him. I think the study I saw said that when the woman makes 40% of what the man makes, that men are like relaxed and stressed out. But once it gets above that, or it gets or she makes half of the household income and above, he starts to kind of freak out. And I think that's so unfair for women, right? I think that because I've seen nice women who really want to be supportive, who are like, look, I can't help how much money I make, and the men are just like kind of freaked out by that. And I think that really speaks to something I've kind of observed. Where I almost feels like naturally women want a man to have a little bit more than what she's got. Like they want, like, she could be strong, but she needs him to be a little stronger. She could be tall, but she needs him to be a little taller. She could be smart, but a lot of women like the man to be a little smarter. And I think the same thing is true with money. Like, so she makes $1 million. She wants you to kind of make 1.1. So she feels like she's dealing with someone that she can learn from and gain from. And I just don't know how you get around that. I really don't.
Well, but to me, I have a question. My question here is, why not have a dialogue on it? First of all, Dr. Lorie, thank you so much for sharing your story. That's painful Just
Yes, it
listening
is.
to it, I'm like, ouch, ouch. Here you are trying to build with somebody. Here you are being open, communicating. Let's work on this together. We could be successful together. Let's build together. Let's do all these wonderful things. And then he deceives you. I mean, that's a blow.
Screw that dude.
That's a blow. And my
His
thing
law.
is, why not have a conversation? Why can't men, fellas, why can't y'all be more like this guy that I did my video reaction to, where you just out and out say, what's wrong with me? Aren't I too worthy of a relationship just because I ride the bus? What's up with y'all new age women who don't want to deal with me? Like, that is a plea. Like, hats off to him for being vulnerable enough to talk about how he was feeling in that moment, how he was talking. I feel like I need to play it again because it's a beautiful display of what all men need to be more comfortable doing, coming to their partner and saying, you know, I worry about whether I'm going to be good enough for you. I worry.
Play it again?
Huh?
Can you
You'll
play
be played again?
Yeah.
Let me play it again.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. You know, I think it's yeah, I didn't know what to think about that video though.
Sorry.
Okay.
And like
It came up.
things have changed, man. I remember back in the day, a man can be on the bus and a woman would still love him. You know what I'm saying? I ride the bus and I live with my mama. You know what I'm saying? I help out with bills. You know what I'm saying? I ain't making that much. You know, I do the best with I can with my man. But why is it that women don't want to talk to a man that, you know what I'm saying, he's trying his best and because he don't have a car or he might still stay home with his mom? Why y'all making a big deal about that? You know what I'm saying? And then we get called dusties. We get called dusties, man. You know what I'm saying? So you mean to tell me I can't get no love because I stay with my mama and I don't have a car? You know, like what's wrong with riding the bus? At least I'm getting back and forth to where I need to go make my change. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing the best for me. I'm doing the best for me and my kids. And, you know, I think maybe it's just these new age women, you know, so what if I don't have a car? So what if I still stay home with my mama? I mean, what's the big deal? Family.
Sorry to cut you off, voice, but
No. So what if I don't have a car? So what if I still stay home with my mama? That just don't. I'm sorry. I don't blame anybody. I'm not saying that you don't have a right to have relationships, and I'm not making fun of him. But come on, and the dude did not sound like he was a struggling 23-year-old.
He sound kind of pitiful.
He sounded about 40. You know, and I just think that when a man says something like that, like you know, well, so what? I'm living with my mama and I'm riding the bus. That's like a woman saying, well, so what? I'm 400 pounds and you know, and I don't take baths and you know what I mean.
He's trying though.
He is. And just like the big girl might be trying in the gym losing weight, right? And
She in the gym, though. She in the gym.
She's in the gym, right? And we should applaud all of that, right? And believe me, there's guys that love the big girls, no question about it, right? So nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying though is, you know, like men, we have our expectations for women. I can say my wife, when I saw her, she was the most beautiful woman I ever met. If she was not the most beautiful woman I never met, I don't know if I would have taken the time to get to know all these other wonderful things about her. It was her looks and her smile that really caught me the first day I saw you across a crowded room. And I think that as men, it's expected that we have those kinds of expectations for women. But when you flip it and women are like, well, I kind of would like for you to not live with your mama and have a car. You know, like I just think, you know, men go, oh, you're a gold digger, you this, you that, and the other. I would say men have a right to feel that way. But I would say just pick a different woman then. Pick the woman who will ride with you on the bus or who will pick you up in her car. There's plenty of women out there like that. But it sounds like he's disappointed because the woman he wanted had a standard that did not match the one that he was able to meet.
Yeah.
Dr.
And tell you the truth, when I was in Chicago, I did date someone who was on the bus. That's how we met. We were on the back of the bus and he approached me and asked me my name. And I forgot what bus line we were on. And we started talking. And yes, there were other people on the bus looking at us. But I felt comfortable because there was other people on the bus, you know. And we dated for a while. And to me, I was in school at the time. And I got to know them. And that was the way I didn't have any like, oh, this guy's on the bus, he don't have a car. Oh no. Mm-mm. I got to know them. And I think that's the key piece, getting to know somebody, because maybe their car broke down, or even if they don't have a car, like someone said in the chat, do they have ambition? Yes, they're riding the bus. Yes, they may be living with their parents, but is there something that they're working toward, progressing toward, that they need to just start saving up the money, and that's how they're doing it? So to me, getting to know that person. And is it always about monetary needs, or can't you need someone to help you around the house, fix things up, pick me up, my safety, be my protector, be my king? Can't I have needs in that way? Does it always have to be money?
That's true. I do think, maybe, baby, you could talk about this, because you did that great workbook on financial anxiety and financial trauma. Maybe our financial trauma as a community can create like a fixation, almost like a vitamin deficiency, where you just crave someone that can provide financial security, and you end up focusing on that at the expense of everything else, right? You think that a man is a good man just because he's got money, and you're ignoring all the other 50 red flags that God has sent to you, because you're thinking that you met Mr. Wonderful because because he does drive a nice car or whatever. I think that is a common mistake that I've seen, where we can downplay all the other amazing things a person can bring to a relationship outside the money. What are your thoughts on that, babe?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's good to have that conversation, just to kind of talk about it. And the whole dating process. I mean, if you're attracted to somebody and he's riding the bus and he's someone interesting to you, it's still a dating process. So you need to know, what is that person's decision-making ability? How does that person think? And it's not just the ambition is important, but you have to think about where you are in your life. So back when I was in my 20s, I was riding the bus. I was not going to be driving downtown, paying to park, because I didn't have that kind of money. I knew I wanted to go. I knew I wanted to get a doctorate. And I'm sorry, when you're getting a PhD, you are not wealthy. There ain't no PhD student making a ton of money. And, that's just something that you think about. But, you think about someone's decision-making ability. Are they somebody that they don't have no money because they're getting their doctorate and they want, future? Or are they somebody that don't have no money because they spend all the time and they make terrible decisions when it comes to money? Or they don't value themselves enough to be able to make the right decisions? Are they somebody that wants to please everybody? Or are they somebody who wants to spend their money on frivolous things? Are they an investor? Are they somebody that's like, you know what? I'm taking the bus because instead of paying to park to go to work, I'm going to take that money and invest it, because I'm going to be stacking my money and investing my money so that I can have a great future. So the thing is that there's nuances to this, and you need to get to know somebody to find out what is their decision-making ability. Because I'm telling you, if you are ambitious and you want certain things in your life, you definitely want a partner that's going to complement that. And so, I mean, I think that's sort of the thing. You have to be able to talk about what's going on, that you're riding the bus, what happened in your life, that you have children that you need to take care of. Maybe he was married and the marriage didn't work out. Maybe the mom has passed on. You never know what's going on with somebody's life, and you need to be able to investigate. And if it's someone that piques your interest, why not just explore it? I would hate for someone to turn a person down just because he don't have a car, he don't drive a car that's like this, because you could be missing out on so many other things that person may have to offer. So yes, I'm agreeing with both of you two today.
And we also know that people who are wealthy, they may not be stylish. They may be very humble in terms of their clothing. Yeah. They may drive a Toyota instead of a Benz, so they may not look the part.
Yes.
And they don't have to brag about it.
Yep.
And donating to charities and organizations, and that's their success.
They could be the millionaire next door. You never know.
That's
undercover.
Really, yeah, that's 100% true. I even when I started making a lot of money, my rule was like I never flaunted it. I never made, you know, and I always bought, y'all buy my clothes at Walmart or Target or whatever. And my car was okay, but it wasn't, you know, fancy or anything, you know, and I did that partly because I just as a core value, I think, you know, flaunting your money is tacky, but also because you attract what you advertise. You know, it's just like a woman with her body. You know, I'm not here to tell anybody how to dress, but when you showing all the good stuff, you know, then you're going to attract a certain kind of energy and a certain kind of man and a certain kind of expectation from that man, right? So I think the same thing is true when men flaunt their wealth. And in fact, I think flaunting really is a sign of financial problems coming, or maybe insecurities more than anything else. So I kind of think that that there's, you know, but I do think that there's a right to have an expectation when it comes to finances. And I think for the Black community in particular, we have a special problem. And the problem is that in America, Black women make more money than Black men by a long shot. And they, part of it's white supremacy. I believe that companies, like there are places that would hire my wife that would not hire me. I know that even her university, they didn't want to hire. I think I applied for a job there years ago. She didn't even know
They
it.
will hire you, boys.
They you know what, back then they did not, but they hired you, and they don't have another African American male on the entire campus. So basically there are spaces I think Black women are invited to, the Black men are not, but also there is a distraction issue with Black males. Millions of young Black males become distracted by the bright lights of entertainment, want to be rappers, athletes, comedians, all that. So you pour all your energy into this lottery ticket that's never going to cash in. You know, most of these millions of little Black boys that are becoming great football players will never make a nickel playing football, not make a nickel. They might get a little brain damage to go with it, but they ain't going to make no money. And so then they enter into the workforce or enter into a competitive economic society fully unprepared.
With concussions, with CTEs.
With concussions, maybe some bad habits, maybe a couple babies, mamas, you know, whatever. And these are your future husbands. And that to me is criminal. That's the horrific way they've really disrupted the dating market in the Black community, to the point where I think we've created a world where Black women end up feeling bad because they have standards, the same standards and expectations that a white woman might have. But then also the Black men feel bad because they feel that their masculinity's kind of been stripped away from them. And I just think if we're going to save our families, we got to talk about these things.
And let me just jump in and say, I cannot tell you how many beautiful, attractive, successful Black women I talk to. And then I see their significant other who could barely string a sentence together, who they are lowering their standards, like for real. I just can't, and I'm just appalled, because it's like, it's not a match at all. Sometimes when I see just visually the way they present themselves, the way they articulate their thoughts, the way they talk, just everything, a lot of Black women, that, not all, of course, but a lot, are dating men that I think if they had better options, they wouldn't. I don't know what is happening here, but I'm seeing some of the men, I'm just like, wow, you would never think that the two of them would ever get together. And it does seem like the women are handling their business, like entrepreneur, making good money, doing things, getting it together. And they're really struggling, trying to get their significant other to come on, let's make this money, let's do this ambition. And it's just this other thing. Yes, thank you, Natalia. Many well-off women like thugs, they think they can fix them or they emasculate them. Yeah, I mean, I see this dynamic a lot, and it's, that's a tough one.
It's like, would you rather be alone? Would you rather lower your standards? Or would you rather be with a man who has several women and you're woman number 5?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like, what are the options?
Yeah.
And what are your values in those choices?
It's slim pickings. Slim pickings for some people.
Well, I do agree the pickings are distorted for sure. And yeah, slim to some extent for sure. I would say too, I think as we have the debate, I think we also have to be cautious to not have a debate where we say black women got it going on, black men are stumbling, right? Which can be, that's a valid argument.
Yeah.
We are stumbling in certain areas, but there's some areas where black women are stumbling too.
Yes.
And you know, and I go back to and I you know, I know my wife has a lot to say on this too, but I just don't think that we should think that our dating market's ever going to be normal when 76% of all black women grow up without their father in the house. Sure, the father is around. The father might call once a week or keep him for the summer, but I don't think that's the same as having that masculine figure in the house that is guiding you, that you're, you know, listening to, right? And and I think, because I imagine, like, what would dating be like if 76% of all black men grew up without a mother in the house? Like 76% of 3 out of 4 black boys, their mother lived down the street. You know, like maybe she's off on crack. Maybe they never met her once. I think I know I'd be a very different man if I never, ever had my mother. And so I think that there's a lot of healing that has to happen. I think that's where smart people like you two, you know, I know Dr. Nicholas, you're a clinical psychologist. Everybody needs to be listening to you. You know financial stuff too, and you know,
Thank you.
you know, yeah. But I mean, we have a community where people will listen to Sexy Red for sex education, and then they go to Megan Thee Stallion to learn how to date. You know, and it's just like, no, you need to listen to people like Dr. Nicholas so you can heal and fix your stuff, so that when you go out here, you're not ruining somebody's life. Because I think the biggest Achilles heel a person can have, Dr. Nicholas, is when if I show up thinking I got it all together and you're the problem, and I think that in every relationship, you know, it's like, no, that person was a problem, then that person was a problem, then that person was a problem, and you got 12 people in a row where they were always the problem, but you were never the problem because your stuff don't stink. That's a mental health issue too. What would you say, Dr. Nicholas?
That is. It's like you're pointing the finger at somebody else, right? And those other fingers are pointing back at you, right? When everybody says you're the problem, and when you're saying everybody else is the problem, and you're not looking at yourself to say, well, why aren't my relationships working out? Why is it that they always get to a certain point? And what is going on with me? And taking the time to self-reflect and think about, why did each relationship not work out? How can I improve it? How can I make my relationships work for the better? Now, if you keep going after the same type of person, that's why it may not be working out. If you keep going after that same, like, abusive type of style person, and that's the same person you keep meeting, and that can be a reason why your relationships aren't working out. You got to go for that different person. You got to go for that person who's not abusive emotionally, financially, physically, you know, because if that's the type you've been attracting, it's time to say, okay, I got to stop dating for a while and look at me for a few minutes and get to know me and enjoy spending time with me, and then get myself back out there and try meeting someone other than who I've been dating.
Yeah. And
oh, go ahead, babe. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, the gold standard is a 2-parent household in a loving relationship.
Loving. Yes.
That's the gold standard. We have not seen or experienced the gold standard in our community. And it shows. That
is so important. Being able to
we are leaving these households with our sense of worth, self-worth being just so low. We'll just take anybody who's interested in us, and we'll try to convince that person to make sure they love us. And it's like, please love me. And even if they're abusive, we really are prone, you know, to even just the verbal abuse, the physical abuse, that cycle of abuse that happens a lot in our communities. I mean, it is something that is just really remarkable. And we don't know because we never had an example of healthy communication. I'm talking about working through problems. I'm talking about everybody letting every person in the issue to talk, to be validated, to be heard and understood, and actually compromising, showing flexibility, listening to each other, valuing each other. You want your children to feel valued when they leave your household, when they open their mouth to talk about what they're thinking about, how they're feeling about their day, what's going on with them. and you stop what you're doing and give them time to be able to talk to you about what's going on with them, that's the answer. That's how you break it. Just little things. And just because they're children doesn't mean that their thoughts and perceptions and feelings don't matter. Because if you grow up and you feel like your thoughts don't matter and your feelings don't matter and your experiences don't matter, then you think that you don't matter. Absolutely. And how are you going to get into a relationship and be able to talk to your partner about how you feel? How are you going to grow up and get into a relationship with somebody and they talk to you about what's going on with them? You're going to dismiss them. Why? Because you were dismissed. You don't know any other way to respond. You're just mimicking what happened to you when you were growing up. And I wish we stopped doing it all day, every day. I'm working with couples, trying to get them to quiet up and listen to what each other has to say. Just that one thing could heal the entire generation of us. We don't listen to each other.
And the children are there hearing the arguments and the yelling and the screaming. They don't know.
Yes.
They're the witnesses.
They're not shown a model of healthy relationships.
And I remember when being that Valentine's Day was just a few weeks ago, it made me reflect. My father, he used to bring my mom flowers, and he would also bring me a little bouquet of flowers. And at the time when I was little, I was like, oh, thank you, Daddy. You know, put my little flowers in some water too. And then just last month around Valentine's Day, it made me think, well, my dad was also valuing me, the little girl that I was, by bringing me some flowers too. And it's like, wow, the relationship of observing our parents. Now, we didn't have any conversations about how a man should treat you. We didn't have a sit-down conversation, but just observing my parents together, observing how my father treated my mom, observing what my dad did for me, the actions of thinking of me as well. He didn't have to bring me flowers, but he did. And it made me like, wow, he thought enough of me to do that.
Wow. And you know what's interesting?
Alicia, before you do that, I want to ask Dr. Nicholas, what do you have a website? I'm going to put your website on the screen.
Yes, I do. The Financial Recovery Doctor.
Okay. Go ahead, babe. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Please put her website on.
We got to give her props.
I was going to say, when women talk about how important it is for a man to make a certain amount of money in order to be worthy of their love, you know what I think? I think deep down inside, they're responding more to the fact that they did not feel secure financially when they were growing up. That they're putting so much stock and value on this tangible thing that doesn't even mean anything anyway. But what they really want from them is to feel valued and to feel loved. But they're covering up with buy me things to fill up this void that's going on inside of them that can never be filled by anybody external. That they have to be able to fill themselves up, because you ain't never going to find no man. Ain't no man. Just like how I started, a man are not ATM machines. They cannot fill you up.
And we got a song. What have you done for me lately? We got a whole bunch of songs to talk about it. The money, power, respect, and the other one. We got a whole bunch of songs that we talk about and we sing along with it.
And of course it means so much to us because it's been denied.
Ain't nothing going on but the rent. That's right, Dr. Boyd. Nothing going on, and we sing it
in J-O-B, if you want to be with me.
We know that song. That song was a hit for a reason.
And it feeds into our psyche.
Yes.
Our psyche. And that's what we believe. Like, oh, you can't pay my rent. You can't buy my clothes. You can't do my hair. Okay, why am I with you?
I can't tell you how many people who grew up in poverty. And sometimes I look at them now and they have to have a ring on every finger. They have to have a closet full of expensive clothes. It's a compensatory behavior because growing up, they just feel like they had a lack thereof. and their world falls apart. Even if they have a lot of money, there are millionaires who still stay up at night worrying that they're going to run out of money, even though they have plenty of money. Who's calling me Mrs. Boyce?
Mrs. Boyce. That's funny.
Oh, Mr.
Yeah,
well,
I'm Mr.
Acid Hoarder. I'm sorry, I read that wrong.
Yeah, well, I think that I think everything you're saying makes perfect sense. And one of the things that just is so curious to me is that our community is full of smart people like you two that know a lot of stuff that can solve a lot of common problems people have. And you just, it's sad because I feel very bad because you see a lot of, it's almost, you have this rampant mental health problems, that are stemming from these crazy toxic relationships. And a lot of these problems I think can be solved just through basic instruction on little things like conflict resolution or just healing, and maybe I learned these things, a lot of these things from just hanging out with you. Like when you taught me like deep breathing exercises, I was teaching somebody that, like how to take the stress out of your body by breathing in a square, and or the four horsemen of an argument. Was it contempt, criticism? Stonewalling, and what was it? There was one more. I forgot what the last one is. But anyway,
one you do a lot, boys. Defensiveness.
Defensiveness.
You forget.
I'm not defensive. Stop calling me defensive. I am not defensive. Woman, eat the cake, anime.
I told you, Dr. Lorie, we were gonna get into it.
Right. Eat the cake, anime. No, in all seriousness, though, like it is very sad because we end up wasting very valuable time in really horrible situations that destroy us. Bad relationships will destroy your finances. Like you ever see somebody that comes out of like a really horrible relationship and you ain't talked to them in like a year, and because they've been arguing with their partner and crying and in a state of constant emotional brokenness for a year, so they haven't accomplished anything, haven't got anything done. And it's almost like they're coming out of this horror story, like this emotional hurricane.
It's a grief, boys. They're grief.
Yeah, and they're bitter, they're angry.
Yeah,
and they can't move
right,
fast.
Right. And I think we should be better to ourselves than that. I think we should probably take some time to learn some awareness, learn some emotional intelligence to kind of say, I don't want to feel that way. Right. Like I can tell you this, and this came from me being an economist. As an economist, you see everything as a market. So I see dating as a market, just like a grocery store, just like the market just like a job market or whatever. And one of the rules I had with dating that worked pretty well was I always told myself that how much I like you is really important, but I need to know that you like me too. Right. I wasn't I wasn't interested. I'm going to tell you, I thought Alicia was the prettiest thing ever. But I remember kind of thinking, okay, you really like this girl, but does she like you? You need to make sure she wants you.
I called you all the time, boys.
You did. You absolutely did. And I didn't know, I was friends with you and I thought that was just what it was, but I didn't know what it was. But anyway, my point is to say that I think even little basic things like that, like really go a long way. Like, because I see a lot of people that will pick the best person that they can get, like the prettiest girl, the best looking man, whatever. And there's no consideration for well, do they value you as much as you value them? And then next thing you know, you're chasing somebody, you keep sweating your way through life. Baby, please. Why you treat me so bad? And really the reality is at the end of the day, if somebody loves you, they're not going to treat you bad. And if you love yourself, you're not going to let somebody treat you bad.
That's right. You don't get to treat me bad.
Right. So if you always being treated bad, then that can mean they don't love you and you don't love you. And maybe they don't love you because you don't love you. So you sitting here letting yourself, you looking like Jennifer Hudson and Dreamgirls, no way. I'm living without you. I'm staying. I don't want to be free. Right? Who the hell? Who wants to feel like that? That's a terrible.
Well, you know why people feel that way, boys, is because they felt abandoned when they were growing up.
Right.
So that's
Right.
what's going on. They were abandoned.
Yes.
Same
You can
reaction.
And they
only
need to go
abandon
see
a
you.
child.
That's why they gotta go see you.
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
reaction. Yes.
Now,
Yes.
children can be abandoned, but when you're an adult, somebody just left you. You can't be an abandoned as an adult. It's just that
Yes.
person just ain't around no more. But you still, it comes up as abandonment, and that hurts. You never dealt with the abandonment when you were younger, as it happened. And so it hurts. And then you get love starved. You're one of those love sick people.
Becoming needy and like clingy.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and all that can be fixed with your therapist. Or
It could be, yeah.
Or you can spend 25 years having horrible relationships and figure it all out when you're 50 or something. Right. I mean, I think that, and I just wish young people listen to people like you, because I think that intelligent Black people and intelligent Black professionals like you kind of get disrespected a little bit, because people will go, they'll go get relationship advice from Steve Harvey before they go talk to somebody who studied relationships in a PhD program. What the hell's no wonder your life is a mess. You getting your relationships, you're getting your advice from a comedian, and then you wonder why your life is a joke.
A comedian who, anyway. Here's the thing. Like, I gotta give it to these people. Some of these people who are armchair therapists, they're doing a kick-ass job delivering their message in a way more catchy way than I can. I'm sorry, I'm a professor and a therapist, and I'm trained that way. I can't get up and rhyme and rap, and I don't know. It just that doesn't come out of me like that, So they're doing a great job raising awareness, but sometimes they're leading people down this wrong road, and it's funny. And come on, it's Black people, we like the drama, and we like all of that. We like flash. That's just how we are, and some people can do it better than others. I was just again talking to Boyce about this earlier about real licensed therapists and PhDs. We need to be more savvy in how we convey our message and making sure that people pay attention, and they're just not. But
it's that stigma that's still attached to actually coming in for therapy and getting counseling. Like, no, I'm not crazy. No, I don't need you. I'm good.
Yeah. I'm gonna do my TikTok therapy.
But yet you want to talk to me outside the office or undercover, and it's like, oh, thank you so much for talking to me. You really helped me a lot. It's like, okay, but do you realize that was, a taste of therapy?
Well, yeah, and I think it's very strange that people think therapy is something that you need if you're broken, if something's wrong with you. I don't see it that way. Therapy is something you do if you want to be the best version of yourself that you can be. So if you're especially if you're an ambitious person that wants to be ambitious about creating the kind of life you want to live, that you want to be happy in, if you want to have great relationships, great mental health, great physical health, so that you can be your best, so you can step out in the world and do your best. You can go get that money. You can build that business. You can build that solid family. You could be a great leader for your kids. Then therapy is something that you should do. I found therapy to be valuable because it gave me tremendous capability in terms of introspection. It heightened my emotional intelligence. Like, so when I feel a certain way and I'm about to do something stupid because I'm mad, I know how I'm feeling and why I feel that way. And I know to take a step back, take a deep breath, reframe it. You got all these tools you can use so you don't mess it up. Because a lot of life is about not messing it up, whatever it is, right? Like, I talked to my wife, we have a rough day. My goal is not to mess it up, right? With the kids. I've messed up with the kids before. And I remember my wife knows I had a time where I had to sit them all down and apologize one by one because I messed up, right? And I think that anybody who wants to be a leader in this life, starting with leading your life, next leading a family, leading a business, whatever it is, you should get therapy so you can just be the best version of yourself that you can be. Because too many people allow their mental health issues, these psychological STDs that sometimes we inherit intergenerationally, they allow them to run rampant and cause them to traumatize other people. You traumatize your kids because you didn't get help. You traumatize that woman. You traumatize that man. You know, you're hurting people because you won't do the work. And I just think, Dr. Nicholas, I think it's important that we kind of reframe that.
Absolutely. And I know someone in the chat was asking about the counseling. So hopefully you got the coaching with Dr. Alicia for the
Yeah.
person who was requesting where to seek counseling. But yes, and I definitely agree with Dr. Alicia. We have to get creative in terms of how we connect with people, how we reach out to people. Because, and Dr. Boyce, I commend you on apologizing to children, because most parents feel, do as I say, not as I do, you know, and I don't have to apologize to you're a child. I don't have to apologize to you. So the fact that you even did that, that says a lot. That's the beginning of a beautiful relationship with the children, because they feel special enough that you took the time to apologize to them. And they got the chance to say how they felt when you did whatever. And then it brings a relationship so they can come to you and talk to you about things as well.
Yeah. It was something that I never saw. I as a kid anyway, I didn't really see my parents do that. Maybe once. I think I do remember one time my father apologizing for something. There was more that should have, maybe more apologies should have been delivered, and it was hard. It was very humbling, but I was like, you know what, Boyce, you messed up, and you're gonna have to fix this, right? So I think it's you know, I just think that those who are listening, I commend everybody listening for the fact that, you know, you want to do better. You understand how painful it can be to deal with a person who doesn't want to do any healing, who just thinks that they're perfect. You know, they always say, Dr. Nicholas, the joke I remember hearing was that therapy a lot of times is to help people cope with people in their family that won't get therapy.
That is so true. That could be so true.
It's hard. I mean, our people have gone through a lot, you
A
know.
lot, and
Yeah,
still going through a lot. And I
absolutely.
also think that also relates to, as it connects to relationships, don't go to bed angry. When you're mad at your spouse over something, maybe you brought something from the outside home and then you all started arguing, don't go to bed angry. Because I remember working with someone and they went to bed angry at their spouse. And when they woke up the next morning, their spouse was dead. So they didn't
Wow.
even have the chance to resolve the conflict that had happened between the two of them. And they were just so distressed, like, oh my gosh, that's my last relationship with my spouse. We argued, we went to bed, and I wake up and they died in their sleep. And I didn't even have the chance to, you know, to reconnect and mend that relationship of that argument. And that's what they, you know, that's what we were talking about in our counseling session, the grief, the distress that they has continued to have as a result of that.
Wow, that is heavy. Sheesh, that's wow. Talk about bad luck. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
so don't go to bed angry with your spouse, with your children.
Hmm. Well,
Heal it.
let me ask you this. And by the way, everybody, Dr. Alicia had to go pick up Tater from dance class.
Oh, okay. I was wondering what happened to her.
Yeah. Her name is Taylor. I call her Tater and Tay, but she's our 14-year-old. She's pretty much a professional dancer now. She goes to dance class every day for 3 hours. I don't know how she does it, but that's where Alicia went. But I want to ask you, Dr. Nicholas, tell me about yourself and your background. Like, how did you get into what you do? And I saw you're a clinical psychologist, and also you do a lot of stuff with financial therapy. What's your background, and just how did you get into this? And tell us about that.
So it all started, and I know I had told my story last time. It all started when I graduated from graduate school. I had been attending financial workshops and programs and first-time home buyer meetings on buying my first home for years. And I finally took the plunge and I did it. I got my first home. It was a one-bedroom condo. And of course, you got to decorate it. You got to buy things to fix it up. And I remember a month before, I got a letter from my bank saying your mortgage was going to go up. And I was like, okay, no problem. So I put my $20 aside because as a renter, you know, the rent always went up, usually by $10, $20. But when that mortgage bill came, it was practically doubled my initial payment. And
Wow.
I just knew they had made a mistake. So I was like, oh, you know, you made a mistake. Can you please correct this so I can make my payment? And that representative said, Miss Nicholas, that's your new payment. And I was like, whoa. So I started juggling my credit cards, stealing from Peter to pay Paul. And I took money from my credit cards. And so when my credit card bills came in the following month, all of them had increased in amounts, even the one I had paid on time. And when I called the one who I thought I had a solid relationship, American Express, I said, I paid you on time. I was never late on the payment. What happened? And they said, oh, did you read the fine print? If you're late on another bill, we have the right to increase your payment. And so my interest rate went from 9.9% to 37.99%. All my credit cards went up.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, okay, my mortgage is up. All my credit card bills are up. What am I going to do? I was feeling depressed. I was overwhelmed. I was stressed. And I really did not know. It was during the 2008 financial crisis. I did not know how I was going to get myself out of this. And as I watched the news, I saw people being evicted from their homes. Their belongings were just thrown out on the street. And I wondered, is that going to be my reality? Am I next? And to just move things, long story short, I got out of my situation. I was able to get my credit card expenses down from 37 to 5%, and I was able to save my one-bedroom home. I was also a volunteer for Habitat for Humanity during that time. And they came to their volunteers and said, hey, our family's on the verge of losing their homes that we've worked so hard to build for them. Will you be a lone ranger, lone ranger, and help them? And because I had just been through it in terms of saving my own home and going through all the emotions and feelings of, am I even going to save my home? Am I going to be like evicted or have to apply for bankruptcy? I was able to share my experiences with these families. And I was able to tell them how I got out of my situation, along with the training that Habitat for Humanity gave us. And as a result, I found my passion of being able to help people with their finances. And through that, I became certified as a financial education instructor and accredited as a financial counselor. And so my passion is never wanting to see people in the situation that I found myself in. And so I continue to talk to people about financial education, getting out of debt, building up their savings. I'm on your Monday not Monday, I say Monday. I'm on your morning money calls every once in a while when I can attend, getting that information from you. I got some of your books and getting knowledge from experts like you. And I love the fact that Dr. Alicia combines it with the mental health. And so as a psychologist, combining the psychology with the money, it's a perfect connection. Because you go through stuff when you're in financial challenges and financial crises. You go through some emotions. In fact, during that time, the 2008, people committed suicide because they couldn't get out of debt, or their money was invested and they thought that they were going to be able to pull their money from their retirement accounts.
Wow.
And because of their investments on some of the things that they had their money in, they had lost their life savings. And so people had committed suicide behind this. And that's the desperation of when you don't have money that you're so used to having all the time. And all of a sudden the rug is pulled from under you. And it's like you feel you're only, and I remember a case too, where the person thought that by killing themselves, their insurance would cover their family. They took themselves out because they wanted to make sure their family would be taken care of. But the thing about it is they forgot the fine print says, if you kill yourself, then your insurance, the family will not get the insurance money. So they missed
Oh,
that caveat, and the family was like devastated, like we lost our family member and we still don't have the money.
wow. Oh my gosh. Wow. That's oof. Oh, that's sad. And I'll tell you, one thing that I've been talking to Alicia about, Dr. Nicholas, is this whole thing with sports betting becoming very popular and gambling addictions kind of being on the rise, and what that's going to do to mental health in terms of, if you think about how many people have taken their lives because of gambling debts or whatever, or, whatever it might be. And it's just, I see more crises kind of down the road. And then you think about AI coming in and the job loss from AI. And then right now, in Washington, there a lot of government jobs are disappearing. So our people are really going to be in a spot where we're going to have to really rethink how we view our economic situation and learn these things that you people like you talk about. So what city are you in, by the way?
I'm in New York City. That's why I had asked in the chat in one of the morning meetings, because you had said you were coming to New York. So I said, when are you coming? When are you coming? Because my brother and I years ago met you when you were in New York, like uptown
Harlem.
Upper Harlem. You
That's
had
like
came to a
2017,
building, and
2018,
that's
whatever.
where we first met you.
Oh
And
my
so that
God.
was like eons ago.
Wow, that is crazy. Yeah, I want to go back. I want to go back to Brooklyn.
Yes.
It was really funny. It was like not a lot of people came to the thing we did in Harlem, but a ton of people came to Brooklyn. So I said, okay, Brooklyn's got to be my favorite borough now, because whatever I did in Harlem, that did okay. But Brooklyn, it was like so many people, it was like overwhelming, and I was humbled by that. And so, well, so as we kind of close out, on our conversation, I'm gonna say thank you very much. It's been great to know you. And I'm gonna put, by the way, everybody, I want you to see Dr. Nicholas's website. It's thefinancialrecoverydoctor.com. And that's right there on the screen. I tested out that URL, and I know that that's the right one, because sometimes I'll type the wrong thing, and I don't want to do that. And she's smart. She's a clinical psychologist. She also is able to do a lot of financial therapy and counseling, things like that. And these are the kinds of people we have to listen to. These are my heroes, and these are people like Dr. Nicholas are the kinds of people that we should all be sort of talking about, because financial peace is really important. Right? There's so much financial stress and so much just pain and everything else, and it doesn't have to be that way. Dr. Nicholas, like I kind of think about it, it's kind of unfortunate, and I add that to just the list of other preventable things that happen to our people. Like, when you see grandma get her foot cut off because of all the fried chicken and everything, you're like, well, do we really have to eat that food? Do we really need the extra sugary Kool-Aid? Do we, but habits are hard to break, and I get that. But I really think that mindfulness is important, so we can maybe figure out how to shape new habits, so we're not dropping our kids in the same generational curses that we were dropped into. Did you have any kind of parting thoughts before we finish up today?
I'd like to thank everybody who's here with us, because you are in the right place. Listening to this call, listening, because I know some of the audience comes from you, Dr. Boyce, because I saw the B1 family in there too.
Yes.
And you all are in the right place. But please make sure that you all are taking action. That's the key piece. It's great to hear the information. It's great to listen and put information in the chat, but make sure you're taking action and you implement.
Yes, absolutely. You have to take action and take baby steps, like me going to the gym. My workout, I do a bums workout. If y'all saw me working out in the gym, y'all would laugh at me. But believe me, those baby steps made a big difference. It formed new habits, and I feel so much better. And I don't think many people can say that I actually look better, Dr. Nicholas, at 53 than I did at 43. Most people can't say that. And it was the baby steps. Don't torture yourself. Just make it easy and listen to the right people like Dr. Nicholas. So Dr. Nicholas's website is thefinancialrecoverydoctor.com. That's thefinancialrecoverydoctor.com. Also, I want to remind everybody that if you want to learn stock options, we have a new stock options training camp that we're going to do. It starts in the middle of March. It's drboycecoin.com. Coin stands for Certified Options Income Network. So if you want to learn options from A to Z, I love stock options. I think they're a great thing to understand, especially now. The market has a lot of opportunity. So feel free to go to drboycecoin.com and apply and speak to someone and see if it's a fit for you. And I think my wife is back. And but I'm going to say goodbye.
Y'all ready to say goodbye? Okay.
I was
going to say, Dr. Boyce, that because of your stock program, my nephew got involved. And so I'm so appreciative of things like that, because you're so giving of share it with your family,
Yeah.
And so I shared that and my site with my nephew, and they are so into the material.
Yes.
So thank you.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you, like money is not a hard thing to convince people to pursue, to want, right? We all want money. It's easy. It's like offering sex or something, or sugar, like these are good things. These things, and except sugar makes you sick, right? But money doesn't, unless, so my point is to say that why not introduce our kids to ways to make money, and to make money safely and in abundance, so they can get to the point where money is not a barrier to happiness. Like, money doesn't stop you from being fulfilled. It's like when I told Taylor, who I think Alicia's probably talking to Taylor right now, so Taylor might know I'm talking about her. But I told her, 14-year-old Taylor, I said, look, I don't need you to grow up and become obsessed with money, but I want you to understand money and have enough money so that you don't have to think about money, so you can focus on happiness, right? You can focus on living your life without money getting in the way, because if you don't deal with it, money, it's almost like a physical illness. Like, if I have a little issue in my body and I don't deal with it at the doctor, that little issue becomes a big issue, and it stops me from doing all the other things I want to do. So money is like that little issue where if you just deal with it now, it doesn't block you from all of the blessings that are supposed to happen in your life when you're not having to go to work or stressing out over money or being limited on money. You want to go on a vacation, take the vacation. You want a new car, get a new car. You want to do something nice for a relative, you do it, and you don't have to think about the money. So I think that in our community, I believe that we can be the best on earth when it comes to our economics. I really do. I think that we're right in the seat. We're having a hard time. We're struggling a little bit in certain areas, but I believe that struggle is going to make us great. So I'm going to leave and let you ladies finish up.
Oh, we're done. We can finish up. I mean, it's been almost 2 hours.
Yeah, an hour.
I've been honored to be here with the both of you.
I know. You should be.
We're the honor's all ours.
Who told you to go live with a couple, with a married couple?
Yeah, and then there's so much going on in the chat too. They are like,
the chat is lit up.
Ali's chat up in here.
You talking about coin and all of that?
Yeah.
Exciting.
Dr. Alicia's website is coachingwithdralicia.com, and she sees a lot of clients and does a lot of good stuff over there as well. So both of these two smart Black women, that's what we celebrate. I honor that. So thank you both for inviting me in, and I'm gonna get out and let y'all say goodbye. So
okay,
have a good night, ladies.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Okay, Dr. Alicia.
Nice to have you.
I'm so glad you came back. I'm glad you were able to come back.
And I'll be in touch.
Yes.
Okay. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, Dr. Alicia. Bye, everybody.